Acting in English. Why is it so important? I mean, really? Is that a question? If you think about Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, Paramount Plus, Warner Brothers, 20th Century Fox, all these incredible productions, they're all coming from English-speaking countries. And guess what? When they're shooting all over the globe, they need some local actors, right? To get some tax reduction, to have more credibility, to have something inserted that belongs to the country where they're actually shooting the movie, to make the whole thing richer, to enrich in the product, to, deliver some production value. So they will hire you, and you need to speak English. And how can you do that? By watching our videos. I mean, literally all of our videos are in English, right? So if you're a fan of acting in English, if you're watching English-speaking movies, if you want to be part of those incredible projects, this is the right series for you. I will teach you, show you, and kind of guide you through the process of how you can express, perform, and act with the English language, being credible, genuine, and have a great impact without studying grammar or insanely complicated rules or vocabulary in, day out. It's all about expressing yourself. So, if you're new to the channel, by the way, before we jump to the video, please subscribe to this wonderful material and this content that we're publishing almost every week on the Coach MC Studio. And now, let's dive right into it, to the content of today's episode, Acting in English, and let's see what's cooking. For today's episode of Acting in English, I want you to imagine yourself as being the audience. You're going into a movie theater and you want to be entertained. And now ask yourself this question, being the audience, how do you want to get entertained? Are you sitting there in the movie theater? Are you paying the ticket? Are you paying for the popcorn, for the parking lot, for the dresses you got on? Are you paying for all this to watch two people having like a colloquial, nice, smooth, comfortable, kind of mediocre, boring conversation? Or you're going to the movie theater because you want to get impacted and entertained and washed away and swiped away by emotions, by great deliveries, by magnificent storytelling? Are you going to the movie theater because you want to plunge into a different world, or because you want to see your world replicated just in a different way with makeup on? No, of course you want to get entertained, right? Of course we need emotions. You as the audience, me as the audience. When we're taking our time off, when we're sitting on our couch, at the end of the day, we have done everything, and then we put on like a nice movie. We switch on our TV set. What do we want to see? We want to see emotions, right? We want to forget our world for a little bit, escape into a different world, into another world, and kind of, be part of an adventure. Be part of something different, of something great, of something grand, right? And that happens through the emotions. So today's video is about the importance of nailing the emotions before you nail grammar or vocabulary. When we're talking about acting in English, we're talking about acting out emotions in English, because that's what we want to see. As actors, we don't get called to action because we need to perform in flawless English with the right inflection, the right pronunciation, and all the nuances of a native speaker, right? It's not about PhD, it's not an exam, it's about emotions. We're delivering something that comes from our core. So my advice for you guys, performers, actresses, and actors, and beautiful creative people out there, if you're thinking about acting in English, if you're thinking about switching to another language set, right? To interpret an imaginary life with another language, then first of all, you need to nail the emotions, because emotions will impact the audience. Emotions will impact the lens. With emotions, you get freed by the chains and the chuckles of normality, of mediocrity, of, just functioning. Now, all of a sudden, we become creators. We don't function, we create. We open up our gates, and they get flooded by emotions, by colors, by nuances, by different temperatures. And that's what we perceive. That's what impacts us. That's what we remember, the emotions. My advice to you guys is exercise the emotions first, because emotions are hard to display. They put us under a lot of stress. It's hard, right, to kind of propel forward, to be angry, to be obsessed, to be happy, to be enthusiastic, to be melancholic, to be all that, and at the same time catching the right phrase and being always in the mood. It's hard to do that. That's a very hard performing circumstance. And if you nail that, then the regular lines, the normal behavior, the conversation that you might also ran into it when you are shooting in the script will be just a piece of cake, because you covered the most difficult base right away. You covered what's the biggest obstacle right from the start. So everything else kind of plays out smoothly. The emotions are the juice, and the structure, the grammar, the vocabulary is the glass. But the glass itself is empty if it's not filled with colored and tasteful juice. The juice is what impacts the audience, what we kind of drink, swallow, and then we feel excited and empowered by it. We need to fill up our glass with a lot of critical juice, a lot of funny, emotional driven juice, because that's what's most important about, the craft of being an actor. Again, when we're talking about acting in English, we're not talking about that you need to be perfect, that your pronunciation needs to be that of a mother tongue, of someone who is a native speaker, who comes from an English-speaking country. We're not talking about that. They would just hire an American, a British, an Australian actor if they would look out for a flawless pronunciation. What they are looking for is for a role that is able to portray emotions in English, right? Think about all these streaming services right now, or if you want, you might check out our video Acting in English that we shot just recently, where we kind of explain and lay out the map of all the different production services, of all the streaming services, of all the international movies that are being shot all over the globe, on a constant basis. And they all need local actors for those productions that are able to speak English and to act in English, right? Speaking is important on set to kind of communicate, to understand the directions from the director and from all the crew members. But when it comes down to shooting, it's not about grammar. It's about emotions. It's about explaining what the character feels through showing that, just showing what you got. The reason we're doing this is because we want you to be successful with your creative endeavors, especially when we're talking about acting. The reason we are here is to give you the tools to manifest your talents in various forms, with various disciplines, through various mediums. And why don't you also use the English language to do that? Because it's not even a language anymore. It's just a universal skill that everybody needs today. It's just like math. Because if you think about English, you're not thinking about a language anymore. You're thinking about a universal key to communication, to international communication, whether that's acting, whether that's business, whether that's traveling. So many things are getting covered by the English language, or are just being written in the English language. And so many people are communicating on a daily basis from different countries with English, because that makes it easier to understand themselves and each other, and that makes it easier to come together also as a culture. So English is part of our entertainment industry culture, and if you want to be part of entertainment industry and want to be involved in those productions, and you want to be part of the culture, I strongly advise you to learn English. But not learning the language, but how to express your feelings through the language. So you can, whenever you get called to action into the room, display your emotions and deliver what's necessary in order to impact the lens, the casting director, and everybody who's involved. Because in the end, we always want to tell stories, right? And what are great stories? Of course, the plot is important. Of course, the functioning storyline is important. But what's most important, it's what the character gives us, what we can drain from the character, what we remember once we leave the movie theater. Escapism, right? You want to be part of a different reality for a couple of hours and forget yours for a couple of hours. And you can only do that by displaying the emotions, by being part of the emotions, and never hold back with the emotions. But you can only do that when you're self-confident in your native tongue. When you are speaking your language, let's say you're an Italian, it's easier for you. But when it comes down to English, of course, you need to exercise that. And I feel like a lot of people are putting themselves into the condition when they're talking about like, yeah, I need to act in English, so I need to sit down and learn English first. No. If you sit down and learn English and you go by the rules and grammar and vocabulary, you're not going to be able to display emotions and be an entertainer. Because again, these are two different things. We're talking about science here, and then they're talking about entertainment. You don't want to sit down. You don't want to put yourself into a comfortable performing situation and kind of learn everything in your very, comfortable zone. No, you want to put yourself under the hardest performing circumstances right away. And what's the most important and hardest thing to display truthfully, realistically, generally in front of the camera? It's emotions. So try the emotions first, because if you put yourself up to the task where you can perform under high pressure with high voltage, where you can turn up the volume and be the most aggressive, the most compelling, the most oppressive, where you really manage to to channel all of your emotions into the line, well, saying normal things then will be just a piece of cake. It will just be, just a walk in the park. The emotions, they require our highest intensity. Emotions require our highest focus. Emotions, they require a high magnitude of different nuances, and they need to fit like a chain, one piece into another, so the whole mechanical process works. If one piece of the gear is loose, the whole clockwork won't work. Emotions always ask the biggest energetical investment. That's where we need to start. Let me know in the comment section below so far if you understood everything what I said so far, if it makes sense to you guys. And by the way, if you're new to the channel, just a little reminder, why don't you subscribe? Because we want you to be more successful. So if you subscribe and you hit the bell button, you will get notified every time we grind videos out like this, or mindset videos, or any other acting video that will help you to boost your performance level in front of the camera when you get called to action. And that will help you to be way more successful as a performer, as an actor, as an entertainer, as a comedian, as a salesperson. So you want to be part of the tribe, you want to be part of this culture, so subscribe right away. Let us know what you think about this. And if you think, all right, I need to go a little bit more into depth covering some other topics here, then why don't you contact me through my website? It's thecoachmc.studio. You send me an email, you tell me what you need to do, we find out if we're a great match for each other. You write something nice for the Coach MC. Yes, because sometimes I need love letters too, right? We all need love letters once in a while. We all need to get involved romantically with our projects. And then you tell me, hey, I want to do this in English, in Italian, in German, in Mandarin, whatever. Let's work together. And maybe we find out we're a great match, and then we can start a new great creative adventure, shall we? Yes. So contact me through thecoachmc.studio. Let's get back on track. Let's jump to some tools and instruments and some technical advice that you can use and implement right away. After this video, you can exercise it at home and get better with your emotional display in English. Let's do it. Okay, let's get down to practice. Let's do this very, very simple, very, very easy, right away. No stress, right? No pressure. So how can I practice emotions in English? This is the question. How can I do it also with clarity in a way that it sounds genuine, believable, realistic, and it doesn't sound too much like myself when I'm speaking my mother language, my usual language I'm communicating and acting with. Let's say I'm an Italian. Now I got a role, an English speaking role, and I need to perform in English. So it needs to sound also rhythmically like English, not like Italian. Of course, they're looking for an Italian who speaks English, but that means that the better I can pronounce it, the clearer I am with the rhythm, and the closer I am to what the original pronunciation in English would be, not only from the inflection, but also rhythm-wise, the better the audience will understand and perceive me, because we're talking about an international production, of course. So it's kind of nice to have a comfortable position from which out I can play something safely without feeling too embarrassed about it, and at the same time putting the right steam, the right emotions behind the line, behind the words, so the audience perceives what the character is about and what the character is going through in this very instant, in this very moment when I'm playing this out. Let's practice this technically, very slowly, very schematically. There are millions of ways, of course, how to do that, but I found out this is so simple and it's very effective that it works all the time. You can apply this and implement this and exercise it right away after you finish this video at home and get better at it every day. Let's assume you got a sheet of paper. Paper, that's the funny thing, that is produced out of wood. If you're a lumberjack, you go into the forest, you chop down a tree, and then you process that tree with some water and some glue, and then you got paper. It's a funny medium. You can write on it, you can take some notes, and you can store it somewhere. It's very thin. It doesn't weigh anything, and it doesn't need electricity to get powered. Great invention. You should try it out. It's magnificent. Now, let's assume this is like some sort of an audition situation. You are in the room, so you get your sides. You got your sides right away. You haven't memorized the lines. And now you have to kind of, perform the line in a way that it sounds realistically acceptable, where you're not too crazy with your own language, where you don't have too much inflection of your own language, but still you are able to display and deliver emotions. I've chosen a line from On the Waterfront, called Morton and Marlon Brando, directed by Elia Kazan, a great movie from the 50s. I encourage you to watch that movie. You don't need to choose that movie, but you should choose great movies and just write down some lines on a square sheet of paper like this if you want, right? One line in different emotions, kind of different displays of the emotions. You can write down the emotions you wish to display beforehand down on the sheet of paper. Let's say I want to be obsessive, I want to be aggressive, I want to be angry, but I will use always the same line and kind of jump from one emotion to the other. And so I kind of start in creating an emotional flexibility in English, in this other language. So I start to get acquainted with how the rhythm changes when I need to display an emotion in a different language. So let's go with this one here. You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody instead of a bum, which is what I am. You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody instead of a bum, which is what I am. You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been somebody, a contender instead of a bum, which is what I am. You don't understand. I could have been somebody. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody instead of a bum, which is what I am. You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody instead of a bum, which is what I am. Different emotions, one line. It's just a practice, a very fast technical practice. How to jump from one emotional island to the other. How to be realistic, to deliver something, and not being too focused or overly obsessed about my inflection, my accent, or my pronunciation per se. Because again, when you're acting in English out of your country where you are, where you're situated, whether that's India, whether that's Indonesia, whether that's Italy, whether that's Africa, wherever you are, when they are casting you, when they are picking you, when they're choosing you for their international project, whether that's Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Disney Plus, whether that's an international production by like a classical studio production, they are looking for local actors who are able to display emotions in English, but they're not looking for perfect English speakers, right? So it is okay to have some mannerisms and automatisms and imperfections and little English inconsistencies when you are acting. That's totally normal and totally fine. That's what they're looking for. Maybe it perfectly fits the character description. But what they're definitely looking for is an emotion that is nailed. They tell you, I want you to be happy. And you need to put an emotion behind your line that displays exactly that happiness, or that obsessedness, or that furiousness, whatever it is. It's the clarity of the emotion that creates the impact with the audience. So exercise the emotions with English. Exercise the emotions first. Exercise the emotions in different ways, in different manners, and, under different circumstances. Put the character into different types of contexts and then see how that changes and affects the mood of the character, and then repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat over and over and over again. Guys, you see, even though you might not have the biggest experience, even though you're not a perfect English speaker, even though you're not a native speaker, that does mean that you're not able to act realistically in English. But if you don't exercise the emotions, then of course it's hard once you get the sides, once you get your casting, once you get your audition, to be spot on with everything that is happening in the scene. You need to exercise the emotions so you are flexible and you feel comfortable and safe in displaying all these different nuances in English. This is the toughest part because that's what we are called for. We are emotional deliverers. The audience wants to be blown away by our emotions, by what happens here, what our eyes are transmitting, what our body is saying, what our subliminal language is, and that's all emotion, that's all resonance. So try out your emotions first. When it comes down to acting in English, a lot of people are overly concerned with the language, with the grammar, with vocabulary, with inflection and all that, which of course is important. You need to sound realistic. You need to sound like if you're speaking, like if you would speak English, right? It needs to sound like English, of course. But the most important part is the emotion. It's what's boiling inside of you. And you need to kind of flood your gates and open up those gates and flood the camera. Overwhelm your audience with that. And you might say, well, that's a very simple advice. I mean, that kind of stands for all the acting endeavor with all the languages, right? It's not something specific for the English language. No, it isn't. It's totally right. Thank you for asking that, by the way, yeah? It's true. That stands for all the acting endeavors. But guess what? If our emotions are spot on, whether that's English, Italian, Spanish, Hindu, or Esperanto, then we've covered most of the mission of our character. You know, human beings are afraid of touching upon new subjects, right? And starting something new and going somewhere where it's unknown. We're always afraid of that. Emotions, once we are able to display them and we kind of get into this state, right, where everything vibrates and everything is alive, it's way less pressurizing. It's way less harder for us to kind of enter that state, to have the confidence of being able to interpret and being there in the moment and acting out realistically. Once we've covered what the character's essence is and what he likes to portray and display, it is way easier for us to kind of step into this uncharted territory and take the lines with us, because the emotion gets the clarity. If we have the emotion covered, then it is clear what the character is about, and that of course improves the contrast of our character, of our imaginary life. That gives way more credible expression to our character in the scene. And of course, it uplifts the scene. It uplifts everything that is happening around that character, and you involve the other persons, the other people, the other actors that are in the scene with you way more, and they will react way more realistically to what you are saying, and all of a sudden the quality, the overall quality of the scene will get higher and higher and higher. You can handle the truth. We all can. If we can handle our emotions, we can handle also the truth. And the truth is, we can all be actors. We can all be expressionists. We can all be creators. We can all be creative. If we start with the right tools, if we start with the right fundaments, if we have the right structure into place, we can do pretty much everything we want in front of the camera. So guys, thank you so much for watching and sticking with us till the end. If you haven't subscribed so far, please make sure to do so. And also hit the bell button, ding dong, so you get notified every time we grind out a new video like this one, acting in English, or a mindset video, or like a talks on acting with some great creators out there in the whole wide world. And they are so beautiful, great interviews where we can learn so much from, you know, so many different crazy creative people like you. So creative community, thank you so much. Leave us a comment also what you thought of this. Leave us a like. Use your thumb, right, to push that button. Use your beautiful thumb to give us a thumbs up so the algorithm knows exactly what you value, what you cherish, and what you want to see more of. Share this video also to your community. Shoot it out there so they get some valuable information in their systems as well. Follow our adventures on the Coach MC. We got some art stuff going on, some live sessions there as well, and some other beautiful things. So make sure to check me out on Instagram. write me a nice love letter through my web address. It's thecoachmc.studio. See you next time with the next Acting in English video. Guys, you guys are awesome. Thanks so much for watching this. See you next time. And now you're ready to perform.